The Bureau will no longer accept FOIA requests through email.
It seems like we're creating a lot of extra burden for the public and for reporters.
Your FBI remains in the forefront of both the training and technology for criminal investigation.
Once upon a time, all you needed to send a Freedom of Information Act request, or FOIA, to the FBI was an email address, a computer, and a dream. But today, on March 1st, 2017, things are about to change.
The FBI is making changes to the way Freedom of Information requests are submitted. The Bureau will no longer accept FOIA requests through email. Requests will have to be sent via fax or standard mail or submitted using an online portal.
We all know the FBI is a little skittish when it comes to saying or doing anything publicly. Jesus, even people outside their building in Washington are camera shy. But moving away from email seems like a craven attempt to slow the flow of information out of the Bureau. And when it was figured out a few weeks ago, it perked the ears of FOIA researchers, lawyers, and reporters everywhere.
The FBI said that this is to make the process more efficient and that it won't change the number of requests someone can submit.
It seems like we're creating a lot of extra burden for the public and for reporters.
That's Adam Marshall. He's an attorney with the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. And he says that this move away from email isn't helpful to government transparency in the slightest. Email is best.
I mean, it's just the most ubiquitous form of communication out there, right? Everyone is used to emails. It creates a permanent record. It's got a timestamp on it. Everyone knows how to use it. And it's not clear to me why the federal government thinks that we need to use different methods of communication that it wants to use that may make it slightly easier for agencies, but that really burden the requester.
Just think about how powerful FOIA is for reporters.
So it's incredibly important for journalists. It's actually I would say one of the primary ways that journalists get documents from the government. And it forms the basis of an incredible array of stories.
That means everything from Vice News revealing that Edward Snowden had approached his bosses about National Security Agency spying, to the Colorado Springs Gazette revealing that the Army was discharging injured and trauma-ridden soldiers for misconduct, to the Associated Press figuring out, oh hey, we're still giving former Nazis Social Security benefits. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not as if reporters weren't able to do good reporting like this before email. So what's so bad about fax or snail mail?
The toner can run out, right, on the fax machine, right? Or someone might, pick up the phone and interrupt the fax line. I mean, I have vague memories of this stuff happening when I had dial-up internet access, right, like in the 90s. And then with mail, mail does get lost. And one of the other things that's frustrating with mail is that most mail that goes to federal agencies has to go through a screening process. Sometimes they irradiate it to make sure there aren't, there isn't anthrax or other things in it. So it can take a long time, actually, for your mail to get from you to the FOIA officer who's going to open it up and read it. Agencies are supposed to provide some kind of response within 20 business days. And if your FOIA request is in transit for, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's hard for a FOIA requester to know exactly what's going on.
And that online portal where you electronically fill out a bunch of boxes, you still have a 3,000 character restriction on what you can ask for, which seems fine if you're just asking for a few items, but it may not be fine if your items are sensitive federal law enforcement documents where you need a few paragraphs to explain why you need them. Also, not all requests can be fulfilled with the portal, and it seems you're on a need-to-know basis on what can be fulfilled. Oh, and just so you know, trying to inform the public about how the FBI works has never been easy. The Bureau has multiple computerized filing systems for documents, and well, good luck if you don't know what to ask for.
What usually happens in 99% of the cases is the FBI will search this thing called the Central Records System, which is a database, a system of records that the FBI maintains that has a lot of records in it, but not all records. And it's incredibly confusing, actually. This is part of my job to know how this works, and I still find it incredibly confusing. And I think what's frustrating is that a lot of people submitting FOIA requests don't know that unless you say something different, like search this record system and this record system, the FBI is only searching this one record system and possibly in a limited way that isn't really going to find what you're actually looking for. And it's just silly because FOIA isn't supposed to be, a game of gotcha, oh, if you mention, this minor thing, then you'll get the records you're looking for. But in practice, it seems like that's the kind of system that the FBI has set up.
The worst part of all of this is that the FBI is not the only agency moving away from email for FOIA. According to Marshall, 11 other government agencies have recently stopped accepting emailed requests.
I think it's great to keep the pressure up on federal agencies and say, hey, this law is for our benefit, not yours. And we want to, have ways of submitting requests and working with the law that make it possible for us to do our job. So I hope that more agencies won't go the way of that the FBI has chosen to go, but it certainly seems like that's a developing trend. and that's really unfortunate.